Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. So this episode is a weird one, different vibe. I had a guest on, Ore, who you'd have listened to her story, so go back and check it out. We discussed a tweet where people were dropping controversial opinions about Christianity, and it was fun to see people's reaction and people's takes. And atheists we feast, so we decided to use this to feast and create an episode. So I hope you enjoy it. Whatever the title you see, please take it as it is. So if you haven't subscribed up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and any other place you find podcasts, then please check out the show notes for links you might find useful. WhatsApp also. So let's go and listen to Ore and I discuss the tweets and Christianity, basically crazy Christianity and all the bullshit as usual. So please enjoy. Okay, so let us see how this will go. Ore, you're welcome. Today we are doing something strange and weird, and really weird. I don't know, but it's a type of episode that I have not done before. Yeah, so let us see how it goes. So
I'm glad to be the pioneer. I'm glad to be the pioneer,
I've been nice one. What do we go call this thing now?
I say give title to this episode when we are done. We don't know where the conversation is.
Are you sure that when we are done is really? I don't know. I feel maybe it will come in between or in the middle or.
Yeah, title will go come. Don't worry. When title come, you don't say title don't come.
Okay. So let us. So today we just want to discuss this thread. I don't know if you have, for those who are, whenever you're listening to this episode, you might remember this time. This is March. Today is March 17. Around this period, there's this picture that people will post of a guy folding his hands, sitting down, and people point swords around him. So it's always like it's like a representation of you having a contrary opinion that everybody is coming for you to cook you. So this particular person asked the question that what Christianity opinion would have you like this? So what Christianity opinion will have people come for you, basically? And I've just been seeing many funny answers. I had to bookmark some. Well, also, yeah, but this name, it looks, what country do you think this person is? Jolly Uncommon. It feels
South Africa. Yeah, South Africa.
Yeah, okay, put it right there.
Yeah, it's even in Brazil. It's very South African.
So it's just just to share our thoughts and see some funny comments. And I know say Christian go dey converse on the guy that wrote this boy plenty. What the fuck?
You read what the guy writes. What the guy writes. Now what I did talk for Clubhouse when I did it is the exact same thing I've been talking about. Like he talked about Paul, he talked about women, he talked about gay, he talked about pro-colonialism and pro-slavery. My guy was very direct, straight to the point. I say I was like, hey. I said the Christians,
Okay, let me. Which Christians is it quote or reply that caught your mind? That caught your eye?
For me, it's the for me, the reply that even first caught me is when someone said a lot of stuff folks do in church in the name of having the Holy Ghost is nothing but learned behavior. And the guy replied, mimicry. Like a lot of what we know as church behaviors are mimicry. Speaking in tongues is mimicry. And that's like
send me the link. Is the link on is it your phone you're using?
Yeah, I can send you. Yes, I can send. Okay. I can even look at it from my laptop, so.
Yeah. You can drop the link here on the messages.
Okay, no problem. More interactive.
And this na podcasting. This one they designed it for COVID period. So do
That's,
your podcast. You don't need to work out too much.
hmm, that's
The
good.
reason I will. The reason I where. Let me see which one. Okay, let me. He started with okay. So let me start. Christianity is built by and around a wrong man. Paulo, from this rock I will build my church isn't about Paul, but the New Testament is two swords. To us, Paul says, even more than I say, these people don't fucking kill me. Paul never physically saw Jesus. Wasn't even a disciple or the original 12 apostles. They are riding Paul's dick hard. Hardcore riding.
But like he really said a lot. In fact, there was one I actually liked when he talked about Jesus worship on Friday evening to Saturday afternoon and all the people in the Bible. Yet Romans managed to convince 95% of Christians to worship on Sunday. That's how easy it is to deep Christian. If such an obvious fact can be twisted, how many other facts are twisted? And this is something I've had in a lot of conversations with like devout Christians. Like when you start questioning, like ask them that, where do you think your beliefs come from? Where's the origin? And you're going back and you see how much of what they do is un-Christian and how much of the things that they condemn are very Christian. There's a disconnect there, right? And I think that's one of the reasons I couldn't stand to call myself a Christian again, because by the time you look into it, you just notice that at least the way that it's practiced it's just so far off from it, and you are definitely not doing the right thing. So if you are someone that is obsessed with like doing the right thing and wanting to do the thing to make heaven, the way Christianity is practiced in majority of where it is practiced, it's definitely not how you get to heaven. You're definitely very far from it.
Oh, another banger. Abraham and the descendants colonized Canaan and committed genocide and ethnocide to still occupied land, which is what the motherfuckers are disturbing Palestinians for too. Abi, is that not?
No, in fact, the original writer of the tweet, retweeted somebody that said something. He said that a lot of Christians are siding with Israel, who are like mass genociders just because of the name alone. Like, Israel is not a place to side with in this conflict, right? Because they are very much the aggressor for the most part.
And America is the supporter, so everywhere Israel goes,
Israel get weapon. Israel get missile. America don't want step on those.
God of Israel. Their Nigerians are praying to God of Israel. Israel is creating Iron Dome against Hamas.
Israel is not here. Israel has been inside, military grade equipment for the longest time. Like, don't play with Israel.
Is that Mossad is even more scary than CIA?
Israel is an ancient country now. So all their tactics, they have been building it for centuries. Even maybe some can even say millennia. America is a relatively new country. Let's face facts. Like,
are you talking about the people? Yeah, you don't talk about the people, not this particular state too. The state
is made up of the people now. The state is made up of the people, and
scattered all over Europe, and they were not central.
I know, right? True, sure. But the door, and I think a huge part of a country being successful when it comes to military and occupation and attacks and war is if their citizens have a collective unity in the identity. They have maybe a patriotism, and Israel definitely is a country that will have no shortage of that, simply because of the religious factor of being an Israeli, right? That there's a strong religious factor, this choosing country type vibe. So definitely you have a lot of people not just doing things in the name of the nation, but in the name of God. So you have that. Definitely have that.
I'm looking for another banger. Let me see now.
Christians were very scared to enter under this destroy that. They're very scared.
They're not born there well now. The few that went out will just be now to complain. Why are you? Let me see. I think I even saw one. They know they waste time to cry. Wah.
As someone said, if you're going to Bible bash and confront people on not being a good Christian, you had better be living by the Bible, and the only sin you do is talking to heathens and spreading the gospel. Otherwise, you're just cherry picking from the Bible things that better suit your life.
But that's what they do now. That's what they do. They all cherry pick. Everybody that believes this shit cherry picks. While they are blaming every other person for cherry picking, it is the height of lack of self-awareness. Now, let me see if you know. There is one now. The main reason why Black Americans practice religion is because of slavery. This religion was not really crafted with us in mind. That's good. That's true. The way Black people they carry Christianity for head, no be here. Like,
and I don't know. These days, I really started off my atheistic journey, being angry, the angry atheist type shit, like, oh, this thing that I heard was a lie. But at some point, and I know you remember when I was on Clubhouse, right? I was coming with empathy.
Yeah.
But the more I go along, it's so hard. It bamboozles me that people don't see these things. Like, understand deeply that the reason that you're practicing this religion is because it was passed down to you. And the reason it was passed down to you is because of slavery, genocide, and colonialism. How do people stay with that? And I've heard somebody say that God uses evil things to do good. And I'm like, why does he need evil things to do good? He's very, very powerful. He doesn't need evil things to do good. Like, he can do good and just do good. Do you get? Like, I think Christians simultaneously downplay the power of God. Like, he's omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. Like, then they cage him to all these rules, somebody must die for your sins. Like, this is the rule, and that's why he allowed Jesus to die, because Jesus is the ultimate sacrifice. God creates the rules. Why does there have to be a sacrifice? When the fact is that majority of the people who will be quote unquote beneficiaries of this sacrifice were not alive then. Like, majority of people who are Christians, who are ever Christians, were not alive in those days at all. So who is this for? So that means majority of people would not even have had maybe the sinful nature. Does that make sense? Like, the sinful nature that other people had. Why didn't he just, I don't know. There are so many alternatives, and it's how some Christians
they are creating rules, but he also breaks rules that he created.
Yes.
At the same time.
Like, it's definitely a kind of slippery logic, right? And it's hard to catch it sometimes when they do that. It's very hard to catch it sometimes. But it's like, your God creates the rules. He creates the rules of engagement. That means he can bend the rules of engagement. So when you place these cages and these kind of restrictions on God that, oh, he just can't do this, he just can't forgive without somebody paying the price, like somebody must pay the price. I'm like, why must somebody pay the price? Why is that necessary? When he created the rules. And even back to the whole thing, this whole idea of testing people, when he created the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, put it in the middle and then says, don't touch that thing. Why not just not create it? Has anybody ever just considered that?
Not go sweet now. Have you not watched?
Because
I don't know if you have watched this cartoon. I don't know, non-stamp collector.
No.
The way the guy does is usually just a matchstick kind of cartoon. It just shows that Adam and Eve take one. That the original take. So he just put Adam and Eve. They were just there. He just said, don't eat these fruits, and they obeyed him to the very letter. Next thing, you just see people multiplying. You now see God is bored. Bored out of his mind. I can't take this shit again. Let's start again. Can you not?
because Because even take the logic as a parent, let's say you want to even test your child, right? You will not test them with something that will kill them. You will not put poison in front of your child and say, don't eat this thing to test their obedience. You will do it to something more like low stakes, right? Don't take this sweet. But to test somebody with like, you will die and put poison in front of your child and say, you want to see how they will do. Are you okay? Like, if you love your child, you know that there's a risk. The risk is there that they might actually touch that thing and will die. And if you really love them or you want to protect them at the very least, you will not do that.
And
you will not do that.
This die you're talking is not even normal dying. You know? It is dying that is suffering. Suffering while you are alive, and
eternal
the suffering
death
is now everlasting from generation to generation to generation to generation. That is madness.
It's so odd to me how we have just like this idea of like karma and everything, how, you know, the sins of the father are the sins of the son. White people, Europeans, they committed mass genocide, mass colonialism, the countries where there are mostly white people are one of the prosperous nations on earth. They are one of the prosperous nations on earth.
So
like good life expectancy, good standard of living, all of that. Where is their punishment?
It's hellfire.
Exactly. It's like I don't know how people are comfortable with the implications of their belief. Because I've been talking to some people and it dawned on me that most people believe what they believe, but they don't understand the implications of those beliefs. Like the idea that all sins are equal, for instance, that if I lie, I'll be in the same hellfire as a pedophile, as a rapist, as Hitler. And then like, all sins are equal before God. And they're like, to you, that is a reasonable yardstick. And then somebody here, if you're a Christian listening, you now say the wisdom of God is not the wisdom of man. If that's the wisdom, well, if that's the wisdom, I don't think I want the game. I think I'm good.
Fucking idiots.
Because I don't know.
Idiots.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's laziness. That's with me. I just see it as a way not to create because if you are going to be doing measurements, you know, like the law, you can see how hectic it is to become a lawyer because different crimes have different consequences and you need to study all that. But just going the binary way, you sin, you born. So you steal from the court and you steal money that was supposed to use to treat cancer of children, of millions of children. Both of you are going to cook. Do you see that? It's so human. It's so obviously that as a human being, they just want to stress their brain.
And I think that should be one of the red flags that people see when they think about like Christian beliefs. But this can also be extended to most Judeo-Christian, beliefs, right?
The three of them.
The idea that human existence is so deeply nuanced, and the fact that you just want to debase it to a set of, it's like either you go here or you go there. That's weird as hell because people are so different. Motivations for things are so different. Even see biblical characters. Someone like David. David is such a morally great person. He raped a bitch, got her pregnant, tried to commit paternity fraud against Uriah. When that plan did not work, he took him, killed the husband. And if you read where like Bathsheba was like really suffering, she was mourning her husband. And immediately after her mourning, David sent for her and went in onto her, woman that was already pregnant. Fucked her again. Married her. Then God was like, it was only after all these actions that God was like, oh no, you did too much. When you raped her, we did not hear that one. When he killed you, he said, oh, now you did too much. And then, what did God now do? God now killed the son. God did not kill David though. God killed the baby. Let's take a step back. That's all I can interpret.
Like
the idea that people who are in other people's lives are disposable. Like Job. Yeah. Job suffered, but like, what about all the children that died? And like, what about that? These are human beings that died just because of spotty bets between God and Satan.
The part that is even fucking with my mind is the replacement children. I don't know where in my head I always
Like
thought that it was.
children,
I thought it brought back the one that died. These are new
no,
sets of children you don't
yes,
know from
children
anywhere.
and wives are so replaceable that like they are property. Like the amount of children you have is property, so they can be used and unused. How is nobody uncomfortable with that? How is nobody uncomfortable?
That's why when you are reading some of these scriptures of how when God wants to punish Israel, your women will be raped, your children will become
Because
slaves.
the women were seen as property, right? And again, we are not going back to like how would you as a woman read certain passages of the Bible and be okay with it? We see how women were used as ping pong balls in politics. Like somebody pisses you off, you go and rape their sister. And nobody is just taking a step back and saying that, what about the sister? Like, I don't know.
That's what
Or like,
Judges 19 is. It's not Judges 19, which
I think so. Like the one where they, I don't know how to mistake their names.
the concubine was pieces into 12.
Oh no, oh Lord, that's another story. God, when I first read that story, I was on my knees because, oh no, Judges 19 was so unnecessary. Like killing the concubine to punish them. These are women. These are women that are dying. So the way the Bible treats women and children as not even second class citizens, as property. We can't even say they are second class citizens. They are property. They are things. They are as expendable as a house, as farmland, as oxen, as goats, as cows. And nobody's taking a step back. And somebody wants to tell me that this is the arbitrator of morality and this is how I should live my life. And then somebody might argue that, oh, that's the Old Testament. You know, that's the argument. That's the Old Testament. We're in a new covenant. Unchangeable God. What changed?
No, we always sing it in church.
What changed?
I don't know. I've noticed something that used to happen when you do this unchangeable God to them and try to say that, hey, Jesus is fucking Yahweh in the Old Testament. Somehow they are almost trying to forget Trinity. Always trying to push Trinity. Like they're just trying to like they are not the same people. But I'm like, yo.
And this is why when you're talking to Christians, you're having two different arguments a lot of the time. Like you bring something up and somehow they just twist it and they're talking about another thing. The best way to see this thing, and I think I've said this before, is when you're arguing about like the existence of God. You hear somebody hears you're an atheist and they're a Christian and they want to talk to you. And when I'm talking to a Christian, I don't argue about the existence of God as a whole. I argue about the existence of Yahweh or Jehovah, like the God that they believe. And I'd say this God is implausible, at least according to the stories we have heard, according to what we know about him, and according to what are supposed to be his attributes. This is an implausible God. This God cannot exist, right? And then they start asking me, oh, do you think everything just popped out of nowhere? No, I'm not arguing about that. I'm talking about your specific God. There might, and for the audience listening, like when people ask me what I am, I don't even like to say atheist. I say I'm a skeptic. I'm just like, you tell me it's like a jar of peanuts. You tell me there's an odd number in the jar. I say, how do you know? You tell me there's an even number in the jar. I say, how do you know? Like, I'm going to be skeptical about whatever you say because none of you all know. It's how like Christians will be saying like, you don't believe in heaven and hell. Like, wait until you die. And I have to ask, have you died?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't die, so I'm like, why should I listen to you? So I'm a skeptic first and foremost, but I'm a local atheist. I like straight don't believe that Yahweh exists. I straight don't believe that any established gods, right, that we currently have in every religion, I do not think they exist. It doesn't mean that God might not exist. It doesn't mean that there's not something out there. There might be something out there for like, but as long like whatever Yahweh is, it does not exist. Allah very much does not exist. And when I say that, you see, then they are now shaking with the arguments because they are saying, oh, atheists believe in the Big Bang. I'm like, that's not the discussion right now. The discussion is not how the world came to be. It's like, why should I follow your religion? Why should I agree with what you're saying? That's what we're talking about.
With that, I read always the atheists believe in Big Bang, or is it that you believe something? They are the ones that always bring it up that is what the atheist is saying. Is that, I think we can call that a straw man. Is that not a straw man? Because
It's a straw man.
it's just
You're
like,
just deep.
I don't believe, say, your God came and say, let there be light. I did not come and say existence popped out of nothing. You are the one that they just start projecting immediately. Are you saying that everything just randomly came together and formed this world? Bam! The world is so perfect. It's so this. Then by the time you now begin to name all the diseases, all the cancer killing the children, all the insect that will start eating out your eyeball from nowhere, and just because
They'll say it's Adam and Eve. They say it's Adam and Eve.
It's either the short of.
The thing is Adam and Eve, like the fall of man. Meanwhile, we see archaeologically that things like lions, like predators like lions, crocodiles, those shit, they were made to eat human flesh. Or not human flesh, but flesh in general. They are carnivores. Yeah. So it doesn't seem that they ever existed in a time where they were vegetarians, as maybe Jehovah's Witness trying to say, like,
okay, is it not my Bible book of stories now where you see the lion in the garden?
Yes, along with the snake, everything.
What are they eating?
It doesn't seem like there would have been any instance where those animals were not what they are, like what they are, like vegetarians, like be fucking for real. Like there's a teeth structure, right, to what animals that are vegetarians, like herbivores, animals that are omnivores, and animals that are carnivores. There's a structure. We know these things. There's a way they hunt. There are like things about their biology, right? And it doesn't seem like those change. Like we see the earlier maybe animals from 6,000 years ago, like their bodies, their teeth, their their bones, and nothing has changed. Like in fact, the worse that the creation is, right? The people that actually believe that everything was made 6,000 years ago, I don't even know.
Then and like human beings live together.
I asked some of my smart friends. like, okay, do you believe the Bible is inerrant, right? A lot of them will say yes. And then I said, do you believe, like, in the evolutionary theory that's like we were created millions of years ago, like, and millions, I mean, like evolution happened like millions of years ago? And they say yes, because they are smart. This is what they were taught. Like, they understand this thing intuitively. They understand evolution and everything intuitively. And I'm like, how do you have both of these thoughts? Having thought that everything started with Adam and Eve, and also having the thought that, we have close ancestors with apes and hominids, and we have that. Like, how do you? And it's like they have those two thoughts simultaneously. It's cognitive dissonance, exactly. It's like they hold these two thoughts, like very deeply.
I was in that spot, like in my mind, they taught us evolution I remember it was in geography. Australopithecus africanus. That's where I learned how to pronounce. I remember that word. So I got A in geography, surprised. Like, so I remember that it's geography I learned evolution from. And yet, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Those two things were running on a parallel line, and somehow they did not clash in my mind. I do not know. Although I never met anyone that questioned it. So after I became an atheist, I now so like, nonsense, baby. I don't believe it's all this way.
And you know what? That's exactly it. Because when somebody, on the topic of who can deconvert and who cannot, like, I actually believe that there are some people who don't have the ability to deconvert. Like, they just can't. Because those contradictions don't seem like contradictions. For some reason, they're able to hold both thoughts in their head. But someone like me, my kind of personality is, shit has to be consistent. Shit has to be consistent. When shit is not consistent, I can't take it. Like, I must, if it means that beliefs that I hold dear to my heart have to remove in order for consistency, I will do it. And the biggest thing I did was deconverting, because it was painful. It was painful to accept that the shit that my whole identity was made of was incongruent with reality. It was a lot. But I don't think I would have been someone that could have remained a Christian. Like, even when people ask me, do you think you can come back to the fold? I'm like, I genuinely don't think so. Don't think so.
See, this is why I'm still looking for these Christians that say I used to be an atheist. so that
Have they
we
come to your
can.
podcast yet? I've
Not
seen
yet.
you. They have been asking me.
Yeah, there's one that maybe later this week I will try and schedule it if he shows up, because I want to follow their journey, because all the stories the ones I watched online is I used to be very, very rebellious. I used to fight with God. I'm like, motherfucker, do you fight with Voldemort and Thanos? What is your
Like, you know,
problem?
when I saw you on Twitter, like, you know, when the elections were happening and Peter Obi did not win, and then you were like, and somebody tweeted that there are a lot of atheists that will come out of this like whole situation, because, you know, a lot of people prayed
Yeah.
for Peter Obi to win, and, you know, some people were like, please don't become an atheist. So that's how if something good happens now, you will not say, oh, God doesn't
I used to
exist.
be
Like,
an atheist.
I
Because
used
there
to
was
be
one
an
thing like that now that I was saying she used to be an atheist for years. And now people start to bring all her tweets of her praising God and praying to God just few months back. We're not like, excuse me, ma, you're not an atheist now. Please stop spoiling this market.
Yes,
We have to be in that thread shouting, please don't say you're an atheist if you're angry with God. Atheists don't get angry with God. Please. You're not an atheist. You have to say, don't become an atheist, please. Become an atheist for another day. Don't become an atheist because of this election. It's because it's just they usually use that to create credibility in their mind. Like they can say they
yes,
can
they do
level
that
with
to
you.
break.
Say, yeah, I
They
used to
do
be an
that to break
atheist like
people.
you. So
Because the truth is that if you're an atheist like me, there is no way you could go back. And somebody might have this smart thought, because, you know, I'm actually like acting like my Christian self listening to this. Someone might have the smart thought that, can't you say the same thing about, like, you know, going from a Christian to an atheist? Like, if you're a Christian like me, could you be an atheist? And I say it doesn't work that way. And these are my reasons. As someone who was a Christian, I can tell you boldly that there were things I was ignoring. There are Bible stories I would just, you know, it won't register to me that this is insane. Like, when God says, go to this place, colonize them, genocide them, and keep the virgins for yourself. Keep the virgins for yourself. You know, it's there, but like,
I never knew such existed. That keep the virgin one. It's just the only one I
it's
know.
there, but it's not
The
there.
wall of Jericho fell down flat. We were celebrating genocide. What the
Like,
fuck?
Or when Paul says a woman can only be saved in childbearing. You hear it, but you don't hear it. But as an atheist, there's nothing I'm ignoring. Like, if you give me concrete evidence that your God exists, I would accept it. I would no longer be an atheist. Whether or not I worship that God is a different story, but I would no longer be an atheist. That is the truth. But I think in my actual life, a lot of people find my thoughts and my beliefs fascinating, because as someone who, you know, you could call an atheist, even though I don't like the term, but I call myself an atheist because it's like these expectations you have of atheists, I fall into those expectations. I don't, you know, believe that prayer does anything. I don't find church particularly interesting, except the hymns. You know, when the music is reaching you. You know, I like live music.
Yeah, pure all songs.
I do love it.
Even as a Christian, I found Christian music, most Christian music distasteful. If they are not mixed in the secular, you know, it's people like us, those Hillsong, all those kind of secular kind of song, Christian rock musicians, and people like us.
I know, that's what I'm talking about. But I also loved hymns. Like, honestly, I was listening to this song.
Praise my soul, the King. Huh?
I think it's Covenant that made you hate it. I think it's Covenant that made you hate it, actually. It's trauma. It's PTSD. But I do love it.
Traumatize me.
But I had to realize that I'm just someone that is very affected by music. Like, I feel everything so transcendentally. Like, if you play classical music that is good, like a good piano situation right now, I can be close to tears for real. So it's just like, I feel that way in church or not in church. So like, the working title is atheist.
This Linkin Park song. This song, what's that song? Even say for the sounds I know. We have one more light. Even one more light goes out in the sky. It's a song of sorrow. We are missing someone, a loved one that just died.
Wow, Jesus, why laugh all the grief? But
I don't even play soccer. That's very like, man, that's what this guy just died, man. So
that's
man.
so like
I saw what that tweet. Hey, there's one tweet that caught my attention. Where is it? Oh, fuck.
Let's hear it.
Well, no Christians like to say, why do you guys have to pick only on Christianity? So I saw this what this person is talking to them. Y'all aren't being picked on. People have used the Bible to justify colonization and mass genocide globally. People have used the Bible to shame queer people and disabled people. Y'all aren't being bullied. Y'all aren't being bullied. People just finally have a voice and refuse to be shamed over your beliefs. They always say that thing, like when they want to use it to gaslight if they say, for something that you don't believe in, you talk about it a lot.
And people don't understand that you something doesn't need to exist before it affects your life. Like a good example, in fact, I don't know if this is a good example, but bear with me. Like the idea of money and the financial and banking system. For the most part, that shit is made up. Like that shit is made up. The ones and zeros in your fucking phone, how you transfer money from one place to another. For the most part, that shit is made up. Let's not kid ourselves. Like somebody sends you the money, they minus it from your account, they add it to their account. At some point, like this thing has no. I like using the word transcendental to mean that it has no basis outside of the social context with which we, give it power.
Yeah,
and we fuck with it. We fuck with it. Like it's made up shit. Like if today every single human being in the world says we don't want to do this anymore, we are not doing it again.
Problem.
It's made up. It is made up. So, and a lot of people like to entertain themselves and tickle themselves with the idea that religion is not like that, but it's made up. Like it's you just made that up. So now something like money and financial system, as like made up as it is, as like with the fact that the only power it has is the power we as individuals, we as a society give to it, it still affects us so deeply. Like if there is zero in your account, you are not eating. You are not eating.
This period we are no say money serious. This OP matter with the suffer for you.
Nigeria is another thing. So now take that thing to God, right? Enough people believe it, and when people believe something, it starts to have effect, right? It starts to be quote unquote real because enough people believe that shit. So enough people believe this shit, and they are using this as the basis to create laws. To create laws that will affect me, and you tell me that I shouldn't speak against it because I don't quote unquote believe.
Exactly.
It might not exist, but the human beings who believe in it and are acting based on those beliefs, they exist.
They are the fucking problem. The humans are far more powerful than the fucking God. They are the real
humans
problem.
The humans are the God. Without the humans, there will be no God.
Yo, there's this song, but have you know this musician Hobson?
No, I don't know.
You know Hobson? Yeah, okay. You have weak taste in music. No worry.
No weak taste. It's just I'm not as old as you are now.
Oh, Jesus is Lord. You fucking Jez. Don't worry. You fucking Jezzies, all of you. Both you and anybody, any Jezzy that is listening, we are going to watch Gen Alpha cook all of you on this internet.
Gen Alpha can do no such thing. See, Gen Z is Gen Z is not like you're like, we are adaptable. Okay, I trust we are adaptable.
No problem. In that song, it was it's one of the Hobson. Ill Mind of Hobson 7 or so. That song was is like a deconversion song. The way he the one part he said that, what if Jesus was a facade? That will mean the government is God. Isn't the government is actually God, man?
The government has always, I don't know. It's just, I think, again, it's one of those contradictions with human beings. Human beings simultaneously kind of know how powerful we are and simultaneously devalue that power. Like, we know the power of the collective, like what we as a collective can do and basically, believe into existence. But sometimes we debate it and say human beings are nothing. Your knowledge is nothing. You mean nothing in the presence of God. It's like, it's so conflicting, I guess.
I'm lost without you. Those songs are now reinforcing that idea that you are nothing if you don't have God in your life. Then the cycle of dependency is everly strengthened.
It's an abusive relationship, and it's very interesting because when I talk about this thing, it's like a Christian might be listening to this and be like, you don't know the nature of God. You cannot know the nature of God.
I have a relationship with God.
So but every Christian will say nobody can know the nature of God. But somehow when you want to prove shit to you, they suddenly know the nature. They suddenly know how God thinks. Like, again, it's so much contradiction. And where I had to, keep quiet is that this contradiction makes sense to them. It makes sense to them. I've talked to people who accept this thing and they truly believe both. They truly believe both. And I'm like, you see how these two beliefs cannot coexist? And they are somehow they are coexisting in your head. Yeah. And that's how I choose to live my life.
How do you want to reach such a person?
You can't. That's why the liberal Christians are the worst. The ones that know the problems
there's problem there.
They know there's problem. They know they will be the first to even tell you that. We know that Paul was a misogynist. We know that all these things happen. And I'm like, all these things, and you choose to believe. You say, yes. I said, Jesus.
I know in particular, she says that every Christian cherry picks, and she's aware of it, that she cherry picks, and she's okay with it. I'm like, hey. I just told her, I say, me, you are never talking religion again. Let's talk everything nasty. And
I had someone like that just stunned me to silence. She's like, basically saying the same thing. Like, we all do this shit. Like, we all pick and choose. And I choose. Like, she literally said, I choose to believe. And I hear you, and what you're saying makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's not going to move me. I say,
I know what I heard that was this guy told us, somebody told him that, who said God is a good God? God is wicked, nah?
That was
trying to describe the whole genocide, the whole slavery. Who told you God is a good God?
I was that person as a Christian. Like, when people say God is good all the time, I'm like, no, God is not good. God is, like, how will you say that God is a good God and say that he's fire and trembling or something? There's a God of...
It worshiping with trembling and
worshiping with fear and trembling, or work out your salvation with fear and trembling. But they used to call God something like a God or like war, like he's a judge. Thank you, consuming fire. The way.
Answered by fire.
And honestly, the way Nigerians like practice Christianity is one of the casting out demons. Like, someone who had epilepsy, you say the person. Someone have epilepsy, you say that not demon. Someone be suffering clear schizophrenia, and you say he's hearing from the Lord.
You and Abraham, you say WhatsApp group. I saw one from this guy. We didn't even read an atheist. I saw this one. This guy, Michael Yudi. This one is about Old Testament. Not a single Old Testament verse prophesied the coming of Christianity Superman. This guy. The authors of the New Testament deliberately misappropriated the Old Testament passages, tweaking and manipulating them to look like they were prophesied about. J Boogie. He said that's
definitely true. Put that shit inside the chat. Let me read that. But definitely insane. Like, I don't know. These days I just the catch cruise because I'm just stunned. I'm literally just stunned.
Like this guy don't study and well. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you can study the Bible like back and front and still say certain things. Like, I don't know
how you are looking at it now.
Which I'm looking at it. That's the only way to look at it. When he said keep the virgin for yourself, how else should I look at it?
No, they don't. They don't. We don't see those particular scriptures. What they see is a son is going to be born to you. His name will be Emmanuel, and blah 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 blah. Those are the scriptures they focus on.
I'm telling you, isn't it a red flag that the original Jews don't accept Jesus at all?
See, the day I found that out, I was like, what?
Isn't it a red flag? Isn't it a red flag that Muslims who like claim that they are basically going back redoing what Christians refuse to do?
They are fake. They are fake religion. They came after Christians. They copied Christianity.
Say that Jesus was a prophet, but he's not a Messiah. Like, have you met Muslims when they are debunking Christianity? They'll tell you God cannot have children. You don't understand. God does not have a son. Nothing like Trinity. Trinity does not exist. There's nothing like that. It's like there's one God. There's one God. Have you heard when a Muslim is saying that?
They are always so logical in the breaking down of that Trinity.
Muslims are the most, like, if you want to debunk Christianity, ask a Muslim to talk. You will hear it very strongly. And if you want to debunk Islam, ask a Christian to talk. Ask a Christian to talk. And it's so funny, and I'm like, can both of you just stop shouting at each other and then look in the mirror? Look in the mirror for a bit.
No, they rather die.
And so the most entertaining one is when like Christians and Muslims, with both of them like gang up against atheists, not understanding that their religions are like exclusively like monotheistic, or in Christianity like monotheistic, but you get what I'm saying. And it's like
Christianity is that way with that one.
You're attacking me, the unbeliever, but like in your belief, everybody is still going to hell, Sha. So I don't understand why you can tolerate a Muslim, but you cannot tolerate me. Like we are all going to the same hellfire, aren't we? So like,
when it comes to atheists and bigotry, they are united.
I don't understand it, because wouldn't it be harder to like convert a Muslim to Christianity than it is to convert an atheist to I don't know how they think, Sha. I don't know how they think.
But that's converting.
Like like I don't believe in any gods, right? You believe in a god. It's easy to give me your God than for you to tell me that my God is false and I should accept yours.
Yeah.
I would think it is.
Okay. I would think it's easier to catch another virus since you already have a virus.
Exactly, since you already have the same basis. That's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying like,
okay,
I would say as a Muslim, I'll be more protective of my belief in my God. Like, you coming to me and saying your God is better and bigger than mine should raise hairs more than an atheist saying, oh, I don't believe in any of this. Like, prove to me that this thing is true.
The problem is most Christians, when atheists declare their existence, like, I am an atheist, what they are hearing is, I believe your God does not exist. That's what they hear when you say you're an atheist.
That's what I'm saying, right? But don't they recognize that Muslims are saying the exact same thing? That they believe Yahweh does not exist.
Not really, except their own.
Like,
that's the final clause.
Like, we are all atheists in our own way. Like, Christians don't believe the Hindu gods exist. Like, to a Hindu, they're an atheist. Like, whatever God you believe in seems fake and seems like, a ghost. Like, it doesn't exist. Yeah. I don't understand why you're talking about it. So it's like, we're all atheists in our own way. And that's the best way. That's why I kind of stick to the label, right? Because when we say God, right, I know it conjures an image in most people's heads. And I don't believe in that image. But I cannot confidently say that there's nothing out there. I cannot confidently say that the supernatural in some sense does not exist. Do I believe that human beings can access it the way they claim to? Like casting out demons and stuff like that. I don't. A lot of these things is staged. A lot of these things is fake. But do I believe that it's accessible? Maybe. And the reason how I make sense of this belief is that we don't know a lot about how the nature of existence itself. What if that which we think is supernatural is just an existence that we just can't tap into because of the limitation of our perception? Like, we forget that the reason we can perceive is because of our brain. Our brain filters out this shit. Like, what you see as yellow light, white light, all of them. Like, a yellow object. It's not in reality a yellow object. The thing is that the object, for some reason, like, absorbs, the wavelength of yellow light, and that bounces back into your eye. That's a very good example of like the mechanisms by which we perceive. Like sound is a wave, but you don't see it or like perceive it as a wave. You perceive it as
in the spiritual realm.
Something. So what if that we think is supernatural is just a failure of the senses and the limitations of our perception? And that's why I give that like space, that leeway. But if you tell me that most of the human beings that claim that they can access that realm can access it, I will tell you no. I don't think the human beings that claim they can access that realm can access it. I do not. So I'm not like, that's the thing. So when somebody talks to me and they say, "Oh, you're saying nothing exists," I'm not saying nothing doesn't exist. I am saying that the primary ways by which we think we access the supernatural haven't been proven to have any efficacy. So let me break that down. For instance, prayer is how they say faith without work is dead. For some reason, if I walk without faith, I'll get what I want. And if I have faith with work, I'll get what I want. At what point do you realize that the faith is doing nothing and the work is the one doing nothing?
If you have faith only, error.
If I have faith only,
nothing works.
If I have work only, there's a good probability that it will work, right? And if I have faith with work, it will work. Like, if you have done computer science, the 1001, like all of that, the tables. At some point you realize that the faith is like work is the one, like
0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Like, I don't even understand how people make sense of this thing.
If you take it another step, like when you now say, okay, look at Muslim countries with their oil money, they are selling their oil, doing economic activities. Dubai is opening their country to tourism and they are making money. We are here doing Leko Saka Lasunda. We are doing Allah Wak La La. Why the fucking government is not doing appropriate economic activities? The oil that's been sold, they are just swallowing it and not investing into the people, and we are here suffering poverty, drowning.
Because we're not doing the right shit. It's not by prayer. If it's by prayer, Nigeria will be one of the top countries in the fucking world right now.
Nigerians have been praying. Prayer will go win out.
You know what? There was a realization that came to my head. Like, I can't remember what I was reading. I was reading a book. I was reading a book, right? And it's talked a lot about religion and Muslims, but not in like not in like a philosophical way. The person was just telling a story. I think it was The Alchemist, right? And so I feel like the idea of people going to do, it is part of the Muslim laws that you try to do pilgrimage to Mecca. And I think that that's like a tourist ploy. That's a ploy for Mecca to make money off tourism.
It's a fucking genius business plan.
It's a genius business plan.
And they'll be stoning the devil on a wall.
I'm telling you, it's a genius business plan to put as part of the stipulations of your religious belief that you visit this place as like you visit this place.
Christianity messed up. They didn't infuse their own property with Jerusalem.
I'm telling you, it doesn't. Anybody just think, how convenient is it? How convenient is it? How convenient is it that, like, in the stipulations of this? Because what's so special about fucking Mecca? Really, we used to say that the Mecca you knew then is the Mecca we know now. Like, things shift all the fucking time. Like, I don't know. It's a lot, right? And I'm like, all these ploys, all this, like, fake everything.
It's all a game. They are not, they can't see it, because when you are indoctrinated in that shit, your mind is one-way traffic.
Yeah. And I don't know how people don't see that these beliefs are poison. Like, it's how, like, a lot of people say that, Judeo-Christian, Abrahamic religions are the source of morality. And I'm like, I was telling a friend, I was like, the Abrahamic religions have no moral code. And you might argue and say, what about the 10 Commandments? What about this? No, that's not the moral code. The moral code is you do that which God says you should do. Because, he said, thou shalt not kill. But when it was time for him to test Abraham, he commanded Abraham to kill his son. Like, these are things, thou shalt not kill, but you can genocide people and keep their virgins for yourself. I will always say that over and over. Like, it's there written in the Bible. Let me say the verse for somebody who might be listening that might be doubting. It's like, out of the 10 commandments, 3 of them are about not worshiping any other gods and him being jealous. Let's be for real. Like, that's not a moral code. Like, that's not a moral code.
Don't have any side boyfriend beside me.
It's so funny. Like, I don't know. And it's how they have become the arbitrators of morality and done so much PR, because the Abrahamic religions did a lot of PR to make the idea of morality synonymous with their code. And not only that, to make the idea of God synonymous to their God. So when you say God, you evoke the image of their God. Meanwhile, there have been so many gods before. Like, how it's, for me, if it were not so saddening, it would be impressive.
Bants is I think it's just this colonization that made that happen. Colonization
Like,
is what made it happen.
if it were not so saddening. Okay,
Fuck.
this is Numbers 31 verse 19. Even Numbers 31, basically. And I'll start reading from 16. Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known a man by lying with him. But all the women children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep for yourselves. So God told them to kill the little kids and kill the non-virgins and save the virgins for themselves. So
Because
now,
the virgins, did they do physical check, or they just looked at, okay, they are little girls?
no,
Like,
they said, but all the women children, that means they're talking about little girls. So there's the assumption that little girls have not known a man.
which translation is that one?
I was reading KJV, but let me read, I was reading NIV, let me read KJV. It says, it says,
That's
only the
another
young
thing,
girls,
translation wise.
only the young girls who are virgins may leave. You may keep them for yourself. That's what KJV said.
To do
Young
what?
girls. They specified young girls. Like, this is not
to
just
do
rape.
what?
This is pedophilia. To do what? Like, to sing in the choir or some shit. I can't remember someone made that joke on Twitter. So, I don't know. I guess if Christianity, like the Christian creed, like the Bible, is your sole source of morality, I suggest you look for something else. I'm not saying you can't be a Christian. Like, there are definitely some Christians that are tolerable. Not in the sense that they are not, like, overbearing, but more so, you can tell that they think critically, right? I don't know.
A lot of
Believe what you want.
Christians a lot of Christians think critically. Let's be honest. The critical
when I say
the switch just shuts down once it's
I mean, like, Christians who also critically think about their place. But I've also noticed that those Christians are people who are on their way to deconversion. Like, a year or 2 years later, they will tell me that they are no longer Christians. So that
some of them
definitely
will refine their theology.
that definitely
Like
is
our
difficult.
friend Lumi, if you are listening, continue.
Who is that?
You may have met him on Clubhouse, but he is most likely listening to this episode. So, Lumi, continue. Keep tweaking your theology, the theology of Lumi. Okay.
Well, at the end of the day, like, I have great empathy, and the word is like, I feel something for religious people, because it stems out of a fear, and the fear is the fear of mortality. Everything human beings do is to evade the fear of mortality, and
That's
it's
why
comforting.
you're here. That's why you see me. I don't get party for the Ekoshi. So generally you collect. So that's where you come in.
Yeah, and I feel like to be like a very effective irreligious person and kind of live your life and without the negative effects of not, like, of rejecting God belief. In order to do that, you have to stare down your fear of death. Like, you have to reevaluate what that means to you, and life is so unpredictable. And when you tell somebody that you can control an aspect of your life by invoking this very great, powerful being, like the most powerful being in existence, you can invoke him, and yes, he's in your corner, and get him to do your bidding, and life will be better for you. I see why it's easy to accept that. I see why people will accept that. Also, it does help a bit that the rejection of this entity When they try the inciting incident for the greatest punishment that anybody can ever conceive of, like burning for eternity. So it does help the case a bit, but I see how comforting it is, right? But at some point, like, just because it's comforting doesn't mean it's the best, right? I have moments, and this is a question that people ask me, like, what do you do when you are in a difficult spot? What do you do that you can't pray? And I'm like, when people ask me that question, it does show a certain level of self-awareness. The awareness that a lot of times that they hold on to this belief is that they don't know what to do in any other, like, in the alternative, like not believing. And a huge portion of this is because atheist voices or irreligious voices are not heard. So a lot of people don't have a blueprint of how to live life effectively without this belief. So you feel very much alone. As a Christian, you have a community, you have church, you have all these things, and you are, coming together on this common belief. Because an irreligious person, is difficult to have that. I can tell you, like, in my actual life, like, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. So how do I deal with it? If you're listening, I think I deal with it by accepting that nothing is in my corner and nothing has to be in my corner. I deal with it by understanding that which is in my control is in my control, and that which is not is not. And I do what I can do. Is it painful sometimes to accept that, bro? Like, a lot of our lives are not in our control.
It's fucking painful.
It definitely is painful. But it's also liberating in certain ways. Because this idea that, when something bad happens to you, it's because you didn't pray enough. It's guilt. It racks people with guilt. I've heard people who their parents maybe died of cancer or something, and they feel like it's their fault. Like, they didn't pray enough, this would not have happened. I've heard people who lost their jobs and thought that it's because they had sex that they lost their jobs. When you let go of those erroneous beliefs, you can come to acceptance that things happen because things happen. You can also introspect and say, I lost my job because I was late, I was lazy, I was rude to my boss, rather than I was incompetent. Like, you'll be able to accept those things. Like, how do I prevent it the next time? You're able to accept that your mommy died of cancer because she died of cancer. Because cancer is a thing. Your mommy did not die of cancer to give you self-development. Your daddy...
God is using the death of your mother to take you to a better place.
It happened because things happen. You did not get that new job because you are loved. You got that new job because you applied.
You are qualified.
Or you got network. You are qualified. Even if you were not qualified, you got that new job because there was a vacancy. Exactly. There was a vacancy and you filled it. It is what it is. Move on. Like, that acceptance, that it is what it is acceptance, and doing that which you can control.
We human beings, we have that innate need to feel special. Our ego needs to be I feel special, but I also don't feel like I'm more special than every other person. And that's what people don't understand. I can feel special without having to put myself on the pedestal above everyone else. Like, when you understand the grand scheme of things, like when you see how tiny the earth is in comparison with the universe, your mind go calm down.
You'll calm down, exactly. Okay, to be honest, like, if I don't know if anybody has listened to the episode where I was like here the previous time. I think I briefly talked about how when I was younger, I seemed to exhibit prophetic abilities, like a psychic, intuition. And like people, wonder how I deconverted because of that. And if I still hold the belief that I still have this psychic insight. It is possible that I might have insight, but to attribute that insight to a gift of some kind is weird to me, because there might be a perfectly natural reason why I just knew some things. I might have, I know my kind of person, and I know I'm an extremely sensitive individual. Like, I don't mean like if you insult me, I'll start crying because I don't give a fuck about what other people think of me. I just mean like I'm sensitive to perception. Like when I see, yes, to things happening around me. Like I'm sensitive to sound, like music, like really like lifts up my spirit. I can, like, if you play good music in front of me, I can start crying. If I watch a good movie, it's like I should just buckle down on my knees and be like, God,
you must not watch Last of Us.
I didn't watch it. I'm not watching zombie movies. I watched World War Z as a child and it scarred me. I'm sorry.
What?
Yeah.
That means you must not watch I Am Legend.
I no, I'm not doing any of that to myself. I love myself very much so. And I do think I have some insight, but I don't think that insight means that I should own a church, for instance, or get people to pay me to work on my insight. I don't know. Yeah, and that's how I can tell who is a charlatan, pay this amount of money for this. I don't know. It's just
so they don't say pay. So you so.
When somebody stands to gain from your pain, from your delusion, monetarily, red flag. When they're like give, it shall be given unto you.
So into my children's life, they are virgins. All that woman that usually asks for 1,000, they don't care.
I don't know.
You know that woman?
I don't know.
The woman that asks, usually say so in dollars, so $1,000.
I think I've seen something like that. Is it on Twitter?
They do be, but
Is it on Twitter on Facebook?
I did Jumo. Because I forget. I saw went to my school now. Our children went to Covenant. Funke Felix Adejumo. Nashi. Like to the ask people to say so in dollars. So. Now them. Sakamanje woman. Man is making money. People they come out. They so. We don't talk for 1 hour plus the shit. Are you serious?
Yes, I was looking at the time. So
wow.
I hope this episode came to
what do you call it? Yeah, I know they ask you what do we call it?
A discussion. Follow-up discussion with horror.
Okay. That could work. We'll see.
Ranting Atheist and Ranting Horror.
You go see.
Yeah, Ranting Atheist, but you don't have an episode of you actually ranting. This is a rant.
That's the funny part. The place that I ranted just the first 5 episodes. After that,
and you stop ranting. So this is this episode.
In some of those clubhouse rooms now. So
Anna, you can call this episode. Did you miss the ranting? The ranting in ranting.
I didn't really rant yet, so now. Did we not rant? We didn't rant with the Bants. Bants we do.
What's the difference?
Bants are rants.
Rant is angry Bants.
Okay. That was FD. Oh, alright, be nice talking with you, Jerry. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. It is always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Please subscribe up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places you find podcasts. Then check out the show notes below for links you find useful. Have a great week, and I will catch you on the next one.